Welcome back to TheSlamDuncan YouTube channel, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys who are my 2020 NBA All-Stars. I'll be showing you my starters and also my reserves. So, before we get to that though, please leave a like on this video, and also please subscribe to my channel. I've been seeing that a lot of people are watching my videos, but they're not subscribed. So, if you're watching this, please subscribe. It will definitely be worth your time. So, we're going to get started with my starters here. And then I'm going to shift to my reserves. And after that, though, I'll talk about who I think got snubbed and my reasons why I don't have some people as all-stars. So let's start off with the guards, though, in the West first. I think the West for the stars is kind of pretty unanimous across the board who should be starting. And I don't think I really need to go into too much explanation of why I picked these guys, because I think it's kind of obvious. But for the first guard position, I'm picking James Harden. Having another MVP type year, putting up 37 points per game. I don't think I need to say anything else about James Harden. He's playing great. And then my second guard position is going to be Luka Doncic. He's played very, very well, even without Porzingis, and he's leading his Mavericks team to victories without Porzingis. So I think overall, like when Luka has Porzingis, or if he doesn't, he has guys hurt. He's played very, very well. I'm very pleasantly surprised to see him play so well. So for the guard positions in the West, pretty obvious, right? Now for the front court for the West, I think it's pretty unanimous. So I'll just kind of go through this pretty quickly. But first pick is LeBron James. He is reminding all of us why he could be potentially the best player in the league right now. He has come out and also leading the league in assists. So he has surprised me with his passing ability this season, but obviously deserves to be an all-star starter. My second front court player for the West is Anthony Davis, LeBron's running mate, and I think Anthony Davis has really surprised me defensively this season, because he's playing mostly the 4 this season, and I was kind of thinking to myself, like, man, I mean, Anthony Davis is usually playing the 5, so is he going to get the amount of blocks? Is he going to be comfortable out on the perimeter? And he's done just that, and he's also putting up 27 points per game. So Anthony Davis obviously should be a starter. And then my last all-star pick for the starters, it's going to be Kawhi Leonard. I know a lot of people are kind of like already like, what about the load management? He's missed games, stuff like that. And like, what about guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, who's played very well this season? I'm going to say right now, like, I reward winning, and I know Leonard's missed a decent amount of games, but the Clippers are just a great team with him on the court, and I have to reward that, and his numbers just show it. So I think it's pretty unanimous though with the picks for the Western Conference. So you got Harden, Luka at the guards, you got LeBron, AD, and Kawhi at the forwards. So very quickly, that's my Western Conference starting lineup. And then we're going to shift now to the Eastern Conference, which I think it gets a little bit, like, a lot of people have some different opinions on this, but it's mostly unanimous, I think. We're going to start in the front court, and you'll see why. But I think in the front court, it's also pretty unanimous across the board who should be all-stars in the front court for the East. Obviously, first vote goes to Giannis. Giannis is basically the MVP again this season. He's having better statistical stats this season than last season, shooting the 3 better this season, and I think he's really developing into a leader much better, and being able to like will his team to victory, because you kind of saw a lot of like post play with Giannis last season, but now he's like at the top of the key, running the offense more. Like, it's impressive what he's doing, and I can't believe how well he's become, how good he's become, and how he's still just progressing. Like, he's still becoming better, and that's just scary for the league. So obviously Giannis. Second pick goes to Pascal Siakam. I know he's missed some games recently. He just recently got back, but Siakam has showed me that he can be the main guy on a team, and I was really questionable about that, especially because Kawhi Leonard left. I was like, man, is Pascal going to be the main guy on a team? Can he lead a team? And he has shown that he can do just that. So Pascal obviously deserves it, even with the games missed. And then finally, my third front court player is going to be Joel Embiid, who unfortunately is injured currently. But he's having yet another great season. I think he's actually sacrificed a decent amount this season as well, because he has so many guys on the team with them. So Philly is just a different team with Joel Embiid on the court, and I know there's gonna be the argument like he's missed a lot of games, but I think hasn't missed too many games, and it's kind of the same thing with Leonard. Like Joel Embiid is when he's on the court, the Clippers it's like how Leonard is with the Clippers. Joel Embiid is just makes this Philly team so great. So that's my front court players for the Eastern Conference, and I think this is pretty unanimous across the board, especially seeing the All-Star returns coming in. But now we're going to get to the guards, and I already know there's going to be a lot of controversy about this because my picks are definitely different picks than a lot of people, and you'll see why immediately. So for the guards, my first guard that I think 100% deserves it, no questions asked, is Kemba Walker. He has come out and said, I can lead a team to victory, and I can lead any winning team to victory. And I was kind of questioning him moving from the Hornets to the Celtics. Like, is he actually a good leader? And he's shown I can lead a team, even with a bunch of other guys that are good, to playing well together and winning games collectively. So Kemba Walker 100% deserves to be an all-star starter this season. I don't think that anybody has any issues with that. My second pick, though, for the guards is very, very different than a lot of other people would pick. I'm picking Kyle Lowry. And everyone's probably like, Duncan, what about Trae Young? Like, what about Bradley Beal? What about Kyrie Irving? Well, let me just tell you, like, I've already said it before. I reward winning, and I think this whole Trae Young thing, like, he's had a great season, but the Hawks had the worst record in the league currently. And for me, I don't care who is on that team. I don't care how well you're playing, like, just individually, or how bad the other players are. But it's just, if you have the worst record in the league, and especially because you're in the weaker Eastern Conference, I don't care who's injured. I don't really care if guys are playing extremely bad. I can't give anybody an all-star nod if they're on the worst team record-wise in the league, and I think that's the reason why I'm not giving it to like guys like Bradley Beal also, because Bradley Beal is also in a situation where he has missed some games, which doesn't really help his case, but also the Wizards are struggling, and I know he's having a great season, but again, it's the Wizards. They're not playing well, and I know collectively the Wizards aren't a great team, but it's the same argument with Trae Young. It's like Bradley Beal, he's having a great season, but his team isn't really producing. So that's the reason why I'm not picking Trae Young or Bradley Beal here. I know a lot of people pick those guys, but I'm a person that rewards winning, and I definitely think it's important to reward the guys who have played well on winning teams this season, because they're the reason why their team is winning. And I think it's disrespectful to the guys who have played very well on winning teams to not get picked, but pick guys who are on very bad teams, and they may be playing very well individually, but their teams, it's not showing up in the win-loss column. So another argument I'm having, I've seen people already like come and talk to me about this, and they've already come at me on Twitter about it. They're like, Duncan, the All-Star nod is an individual award. I'm like, yes, that is very true, but also like it shows up on players' resumes, you know, for like Hall of Fame and stuff like that. So I think it's actually like a big thing for a player to be named an All-Star. Secondly, with the whole individual award thing, it's like it's not about the team, it's about the individual player. I'm like, okay, I understand that, but I think personally, to show if a player is playing extremely well and they're playing successfully and they're actually producing, the team record is going to show if that player's actually playing well. Empty stats is something that I'm really seeing a lot with some guys that are on like bad teams, but they're putting up great numbers, and that itself to me just shows like, yeah, you're having a great season individually, but your team isn't looking good in the win-loss column. And that's my argument against Trae Young, is that yes, the Hawks have had a very bad season. They've had John Collins out for a lot of games. Cam Reddish is playing very bad. But the thing is that they still have capable NBA players, and this whole argument that it's individual award and you shouldn't look at the team, I think that's actually a very bad argument because I think the team's success shows if the player is playing well individually. So my other counter argument to like it's an only individual award, I'm like all NBA teams is also an individual award. So is like MVP. Like, and we don't reward guys who've had great seasons but they're on losing teams. We've never done that. And I think it shows that a player that is on a winning team and is playing very well, they're helping the team to play well, and it shows that because the team is playing well, that they're also playing very well. And it should be said that they're playing better than the guys who are putting up great numbers, but they're also on the losing team. So that's my argument. Like, we've never given the MVP to a player who's had great numbers individually, but their team is losing. So that's the reason why I can't give it to Trae Young or Bradley Beal for my guards in the Eastern Conference. So as you can see, for Eastern Conference starters, there's Giannis, Pascal, Embiid, and then Kemba Walker and Kyle Lowry. So those are my all-star starters. And now we're going to move on to the reserves. So I'm presenting this in just regular format. It's like the 2 guards, the 3 forwards, and the 2 wild cards. And this is not like in any particular order of like who should be an all-star first before this guy. It's nothing like that. It's just by format. So starting with the Western Conference, my first guard is Damian Lillard. Portland has struggled this season, but they're still like Damian Lillard has basically willed his team to 18 wins. And it's kind of shocking with how much he's done, and it doesn't really show up in the win-loss column, but Damian Lillard is just having another great season. I'm disappointed in the Blazers, but they've had so many injuries, and I'm shocked to even have 18 wins. So Lillard obviously deserves to be an all-star. My second guard position is going to kind of surprise some people, but Russell Westbrook. And I just think Russell Westbrook has not been talked a lot this season. I think it's because he's not putting up the triple doubles anymore, but I don't think people are realizing that Russell Westbrook's averaging like 24 points per game, and when he plays and Harden is not on the court, Russell Westbrook is playing at a very high level still. Yes, he's declined, but he hasn't declined to like an average player. He's still an all-star player, and I don't think people are saying his name a lot at all, because now he's like the second guy on the Rockets team, so it's like we need to talk about Harden all the time but not talk about Westbrook. So I think you need to have Westbrook on your all-star team. I've been kind of shocked with seeing some people not have him on a team, but Westbrook, he's having a great season, guys, so don't disrespect him. So moving to the forward positions now. First forward is Paul George. I know he's missed games. He's been kind of inconsistent at times this season, but when Kawhi Leonard's not playing and he is playing for the Clippers, they're still playing at a pretty high level. And I know he's currently dealing with a hamstring injury, but he's played enough games in my opinion, and the Clippers are a winning team with him. So I think he deserves the nod, and not to mention, like, he's still playing spectacular defense. So don't disrespect Paul George. I know he's missed some games, but he's played very, very well this season. My next forward is going to be kind of surprising for people, but Rudy Gobert. I think this is the year that Rudy Gobert becomes an all-star. And the Jazz have gone on a very long winning streak, and it's because of Rudy Gobert and another guy. But Rudy Gobert has anchored this Jazz defense yet again. I think he's Defensive Player of the Year again. And this is like probably one of his best statistical seasons. So I think this is the year that Rudy Gobert 100% makes it. I would be shocked if Rudy Gobert doesn't make the All-Star team this season. The other guy that I talked about for the Jazz, it's Gobert and Donovan Mitchell leading that team, and you'll see if I have Donovan Mitchell on this list. But going to the next forward position is Nikola Jokic. Denver playing good again. I don't think they're a contender anymore, unfortunately, but Jokic has his team playing well again. He kind of started out kind of iffy, but ever since the slow start, I think he's been good, and he is definitely running the offense for the Denver Nuggets, and he definitely deserves All-Star recognition. So moving on to the wild card positions, though, like I mentioned before, Donovan Mitchell. This is the year I think Donovan Mitchell also makes his first All-Star appearance. the Jazz, like I said, they're a top 4 team right now in the East. They've won on a very long winning streak, and it's because of Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. And Mitchell has played so well at just being a leader and leading the offense for the Jazz. He is basically the entire offense at times for the Jazz, so I think he definitely deserves it, especially because the Jazz are playing extremely well right now. And then for my last wild card spot for the West, it's definitely a big controversy. There are a lot of guys you could definitely pick here, but I'm going with Chris Paul. And people are probably be like, what about Devin Booker? What about Karl Anthony Towns? What about Brandon Ingram? Even Wiggins, you can kind of throw his name in there. Here's the thing. Like I said before, I reward winning, and I'm going to tell you why I picked Chris Paul over some of the other guys. For Cat, he's missed some time. And because the Timberwolves are not playing well, even with him, it hurts him. And I can't give it to him. I think he's probably actually going to make it this season, but I won't be mad if he does. But in my opinion, I don't think he deserves it over Chris Paul. Brandon Ingram is a kind of similar situation to like the Trae Young and Bradley Beal situation. And it's kind of just, again, it's the empty stats. And not to say Brandon Ingram has played extremely well this season, but it's, again, the record is not really helping his situation. Devin Booker is yet again not going to make it, in my opinion, because of, again, how the Suns have played. And he has had great moments, but, again, he can play well, but the team's not playing well. I know he's 8 and missed 25 games, and I get that, but I just think in general in the West that there are more guards deserving it because they're leading their teams to victories in a loaded Western Conference, and they deserve it more than Booker. So Chris Paul has led his Thunder team into the playoffs, and they have an over 500 record in a loaded Western Conference. And I think with Chris Paul, it's kind of with how Rudy Gobert, his All-Star, his numbers are not basically All-Star worthy, but what he does, that doesn't show up in the box score, is also All-Star worthy. Like his leadership, his defense, him calling out the opposing team's plays, that itself boosts him, and I think, in my opinion, deserves to be an All-Star. So those are my Western Conference reserves. Moving on to the Eastern Conference, my first guard is Malcolm Brogdon. One of those guys that is not really being talked about, in my opinion, enough. When I look at the returns, he's not getting enough votes, in my opinion. I know Brogdon's missed some time, but the Indiana Pacers would not be where they are at right now without Malcolm Brogdon. And I was kind of concerned with him moving to point guard and running the show, but he has shown that he can run point guard, and he is running this Indiana team to victory. And I know Sabonis has also played very, very well, but Brogdon is that leader, and he may not be averaging 20-plus points, but his leadership and his ability to run the team, he deserves to be an All-Star because the Pacers are playing very well without Victor Oladipo, and it's because of Malcolm Brogdon. So that's my first guard. My second guard is Spencer Dinwiddie, and people are probably like, why? Why would you pick Spencer Dinwiddie? Well, here's the thing. The Nets are currently in the playoffs. I think they're currently under 500, but the Nets, the fact that they're in the playoffs is amazing. Let me remind y'all that Kyrie Irving missed 26 games. So that itself is that should have taken a huge blow to the Nets. Karis LeVert has missed 7 weeks, and he just recently got back. And not to mention, KD's out for this entire season. So Spencer Dinwiddie led a team that had no Kyrie Irving, no Karis LeVert, no KD, and he's averaging 22 points and is basically the only shot creator on the Nets and has got this team in the playoffs currently. I know Kyrie Irving just came back and Karis LeVert just came back, but Spencer Dinwiddie has played so well this season, and he is leading his Nets team to victories. He 100% deserves it. I'm very upset that people aren't recognizing him. But the fact that the Nets are in the playoffs right now with so many injuries is amazing. And I think Spencer Dinwiddie is because of that, and he deserves to be an All-Star. So those are my 2 guards at the reserve spots. Moving to the 4 positions, Jimmy Butler, I think is a pretty obvious one that everyone should have. Again, with Jimmy Butler, it's one of those guys with the stats isn't showing everything. Jimmy Butler is basically the reason why the Miami Heat are playing so well, and he has taken. Well, one thing he's done is he's got rid of like the bad locker room guy, the selfish guy image, and I'm so happy that's gone now. But also with Jimmy Butler, he has sacrificed a lot, and so when he sees the Miami Heat team playing well without his scoring, he's just like, go ahead and do your thing. You guys are rolling. I'm gonna sit back. If you guys need me, I'll be here. Not to mention his great defense. Also, he's leading his good defensive team right now, and I think people are finally realizing just how good of a player Jimmy Butler actually is. It may not show up in the box score, but he has played extremely, extremely well. And not to mention, there's another guy in that Miami Heat team that is the reason why Miami Heat are playing so well also is because Bam Adebayo. I think people also aren't seeing with Bam, like, again, it's like not everything shows up in the box scores. And what Bam has done is he has taken a big step defensively. He's taken a huge step being offensive facilitator. Eric Spoelstra has allowed him to be at the at the elbow and run the high post, and he's making great passes and allows the Miami Heat offense to flourish. So Bam has played extremely well this season, and he is also a big reason why the Miami Heat are playing so well and are now, in my opinion, they're contenders. So Bam Adebayo 100% deserves it. And for my third forward position is Chris Middleton. He made it last season. I know people are like, he doesn't have the numbers, but the Bucks are the best team right now in the league, and it's because of Giannis and Middleton. When Giannis isn't on the floor, Chris Middleton is leading the Bucks team, and Chris Middleton has done a great job when Giannis isn't on the floor. And so, I mean, he made it last season. I think he's actually played just as well this season, so I don't see why the coaches won't pick Chris Middleton again. So now to my two wild card spots for the East. These are really tough decisions. There's like no clear-cut guy that you should pick for these last two spots, but my first one is going to be Jayson Tatum. You could put Jaylen Brown. I won't be upset. But I think Jayson Tatum's had just a slightly better offensive season, and I think he's kind of clear-cut the second guy right now in the Celtics. So because of that, I'm going to give it to Tatum. If you give it to Brown, that's perfectly fine. I don't have any issues with that. But Celtics definitely deserve 2 All-Stars. I don't really think they deserve 3, but they definitely deserve 2. And I'm going to roll Jayson Tatum for this one. My last pick, it's basically just because it's in Chicago and I'm a Bulls fan. But I'm going to have to go with Zach LaVine. And part of it is just me being selfish. Like, I want to see Zach LaVine in the dunk contest, and I think if he gets to be an All-Star, he'll do the dunk contest and potentially even the three-point contest. He's shooting 40% from three-point range. But I also think it's just because of his recent play. Bradley Beal has missed a lot of time, so and I know it's like his team only has like 2 less wins than the Bulls, but I think Zach LaVine, his most recent play has basically put him over Bradley Beal. And then I've already talked about the Trae Young situation. Worst record in the league, I can't give it to you. Looking at the Magic players, though, I think I probably would have given it to Fournier if he didn't miss time. And I think Fournier has also fallen off recently, so it's hard for me to give it to Fournier. And then with Vucevic is having another great season, but I think with the Magic, it's like it's different guys every single night that's helped leading the charge to their victories. Like against the Lakers, it was Markelle Fultz leading that team to victory. And I think that's what hurts the Magic's like any of the Magic's players to be an All-Star, because it's like a collective team win, or anytime they win, it's like collectively as a team. It's not like one guy taking charge. It could be like some other, like it could be any guy taking charge any given night. Like Jonathan Isaac, for example, has led the team to some victories because he was playing so well. But because of that, it hurts like Fournier's case, it hurts Vucevic's case. So I know the Magic are right now 7th in the Eastern Conference, and I want to reward the players that are on winning teams, but it's hard for me to give to like one guy, because if I give it to Fournier, I feel bad for Vucevic, but if I give it to Vucevic, I feel bad for Fournier. And I think as a whole, like the Magic they win collectively, and not like they're not led by like one guy. So that leaves Zach LaVine, and I think that it's just with how well LaVine has played in January and the end of December, I think he deserves it. And the fact that it's going to be in Chicago, I want to see Zach LaVine there. So those are my All-Stars for my reserves for the Eastern Conference. I'm going to talk about Trae Young and Bradley Beal again here. People are going to be like, why didn't you put Trae Young? Why didn't you put Bradley Beal? I've already said my initial thoughts of like, I know it's an individual award, but, I reward winning first. And you can put up a bunch of stats, but if it's not leading to wins, I don't think you deserve it. I already told you about like my counter argument of like the All NBA teams and the MVP votes. It's that those are given to players who played extremely well on winning teams, because their success is helping leading to wins. And that's just the reason why I don't give it to Trae Young or Bradley Beal. Now, if you say that Trae Young's an all-star, I won't be mad at you at all. But I will be mad at you if you don't have Bradley Beal also as an all-star. If you're going to say Trae Young's an all-star, you have to say Bradley Beal is also an all-star. Because then what you're going off of is specifically, don't look at the team, but individual stats alone. And Bradley Beal individually has the second best stats right now in the Eastern Conference for guards. So you can have Trae Young as an all-star. I won't be mad, but you have to have Bradley Beal as an all-star as well. That's the reason, like, when I talk to people, I hear like, yeah, Trae Young should be an all-star. I'm like, well, do you have Bradley Beal also as an all-star? Like, no. And I'm like, why? It's because a lot of the reason what I hear is they just say the Wizards suck. I'm like, well, the Hawks have the worst record in the league, so you can't say that Bradley Beal's team sucks, and that's the reason why he shouldn't be an all-star. And you have Trae Young as an all-star. That does not work. So if you have Trae Young as an all-star, I'm fine with that. But you have to have Bradley Beal as an all-star as well. So that's the reason why, with me though, I'm like, I reward winning and I give it to LaVine. And it's also because I'm a Bulls fan and it's gonna be in Chicago, and I think I want to see LaVine put on a show at All-Star Weekend. So to wrap it up, I'm gonna show you all my All-Stars once again. But in the West, I got Doncic, Harden, LeBron, Kawhi, AD for starters. For the reserves, be Lillard, Westbrook, George, Gobert, Jokic, Mitchell, CP3. And then in the East for the stars, we got Kemba Walker, Kyle Lowry, Giannis, Siakam, Embiid. And then for the reserves for the East, I got Malcolm Brogdon, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Chris Middleton, Jayson Tatum, and Zach LaVine. I understand. I already know about the Trae Young thing, but I would also want to hear your guys' all-stars. So definitely leave that in the comment section down below. So that's going to be the end of this video. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Please subscribe to my channel. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14 for like initial reaction and analysis to like big things. Talk a lot of Bulls on there as well. So make sure you do that. And make sure you comment down below your 2020 NBA All-Stars.